debt to GDP of 54%. The debt to GDP of 54% trigger fiscal sustainability concern. IMF recommend 35 to 40% threshold for countries with weaker framework. Now, look at this now. To compound our problem, you can see the level at which the inflation, is going. You can see the inflation rate. You can see our food inflation rate. Food inflation rate is the highest. In fact, almost one of the highest all over the world now. Our food inflation is at around 34% or 35%, thereabout. Then we have our inflation rate below food inflation and monetary policy rate. Indeed, food inflation is far higher than the inflation rate. So when we talk of inflation, it's a major one. We are not producing. People, we are not farming again. Maybe as a result of insecurity largely, that everybody has left the farm because of insecurity. Sir? Yeah, the major problem we have with food security is insecurity. Because I know everybody here, we are almost ready to do some little of farming or support some of the people back home to farm. But the Boko Haram and some other militants, they will chase them. This thing is bouncing back. Oh, okay. So many factors affecting, giving rise to our food inflation. We've not truly embraced mechanized farming. Rural-urban migration. Okay, sir. Yeah, the cost of transportation. In fact, it's the major. The cost of transportation is a larger component of food inflation. The storage, yes. So, I think the new tax reform is trying to abolish all that. I hope the local government and state government too will agree. No, they are having meeting with the states. If the states have the political will, they can wipe those guys from the road. They can wipe them away. So the equally to add to our inflation is money supply. The more you have that high level of money supply, it reflects, it means too much money is chasing fewer goods. So money supply is increasing steadily and is equally a negative, is equally a very, very negative indicator when it comes to inflation. And that is why CBN continues to jack up the monetary policy rate. You can see our exchange rate, parallel market, and official rate. There is almost a convergence. There is almost a convergence now, and maybe with time, if there is a clear convergence, we might now eliminate what we call domiciliary account, as one of you suggested not quite long. I think, okay, the man on phone, he suggested that there shouldn't be anything like domiciliary account. Yes, by the time we have a true convergence. Quarter by quarter, you can see where the FAC allocation, like I told you, you can see the FAC allocation as at October 2023, even FAC allocation as at May 2023 is 1.1. Like I told you, they are receiving close to times 3. FAC allocation is now 2.7 trillion per month. As at month of June, even as at month of October, they share about 3-point-something trillion. Yes. Yes. It is in dollar. So what we are saying is that Mr. President said, if you are saying you are not seeing the effect of removal of subsidy and all those things, that they are sending the money to local government, to states, ask them what are they using the money to do. Because this figure is no longer 2.7. They are now in region of sharing 3-point-something trillion, right from 1.1 trillion. Now, it's increasing the corruption. But I tell people, what can we do? That is the system of government. As far as the law is concerned, there is a... Yes. 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 That's another, yes. You have big money. When you, in dollar term, even our budget, current budget that we say is so big, in dollar time is less than our budget 3 years ago. Because it can hardly do anything, just like you said, in terms of dollar worth. But as far as Naira is concerned, which some people argue that is the money we spend in the country, that don't let us even advance argument around dollar. Where is this money going to? Immediately you disburse to state and local governments. Where are this money going to? But how many people are benefiting from subsidy? Yes. Yes. No, you can go into it. Yeah. Dollar exchange rate. If you touch interest rate, you know that affects anybody. Interest rate. Because you are not borrowing. It does. Companies borrow. We don't have access to credit. We're not a credit-based economy. Who builds a house with mortgage? Less than 1%. Who buys a car? But the companies where we are employed, they borrow. That's why the president produce a president from this land. Yes. Subsidy in itself is not evil. Yeah. Well calculated and planned. So if you now abandon subsidy, what I can call corporate effect, then you've abdicated responsibility. You said there was corruption in subsidy regime. People were stealing it. Why don't you go after those few people that stole the money instead of punishing everybody? Have you? But it's very difficult to monitor. Have you gone around the country? And you cannot identify these people. And nobody has. You cannot hold them to account. In US, when the was abused, they go to jail. If you abuse any subsidy, there is no target and practice. Okay, let me listen to my Oga. Let me listen to Red Cap Oga.
Yeah, I am being a consistent opposition to subsidy removal. Now, the government argue that subsidy benefit a few people. When subsidy was removed, it led to increase in inflation. It led to increase in production costs.
Yes.
Now, the assumed subsidy are being given to state government to this.
Yeah.
They are just increasing the cabal of corruption because the poor is still suffering more because of inflation. The poor is still suffering more because of production costs. And then the whole thing is confusion. So I'm still advocate that the subsidy should have been retained and that we benefit with it. But now they have expanded the corrupt elements.
Do you
Thank you.
do you know the major? Thank you.
But the truth there, that they have made vital information. The truth there that the subsidy, so to say, is subsidy removed. Because in the common sense, if 200 people were benefiting from this subsidy and 200 million people were left alone, it would have still been better for the same 200 people to be benefiting from the same subsidy. Because now, the effect has now been brought down to the 200 million people. And at the same time, the subsidy is still there. Because if you say subsidy is removed, can you come openly to tell us subsidy is removed? Because the point you made mention of, but there is no way to check. We are accountants here. And we cannot adhere to that the policy that it cannot be checked. There is no way it cannot be checked.
Do you know, I agree with you. Some of the demerits of subsidy, if subsidy regime continues, there can't be local production. There can't be interest in local refinery. Those is one of the demerits of subsidy regime. Look at electricity. Do you know why many private sector people, they are running away from electricity? It's not properly priced. They can never recover their cost. So everybody is running away from electricity. Yes, electricity is still highly subsidized. Okay.
Okay, we are the electricity people.
Yeah, okay.
So when
good.
it comes to tariff, modeling, everything,
Yeah.
we are there. Okay, if you are talking about, a bit tariff, okay?
Yeah.
Before now, what we have is a subsidized tariff. Okay, please, please, hello? Turn the. So
Yeah.
normally, how do you price tariff? Okay, we have what is called revenue requirement.
Yeah.
That's to say these are all the costs, generation, transmission, and all that. And then you have so much unit to recover it. The unit is what you use to recover this thing. Of course, there are some allowable losses. You take that out, divide the, what do you call it, the cost by the units. That gives you what I'll call cost reflective tariff.
Tariff, yes.
Okay? Now, let's assume the cost reflective tariff for, just for, I'm sick of
Argument.
illustration argument. Let's assume cost reflective tariff is, let's say, 100 naira. And in the opinion of the regulator, they felt that they cannot pass this to the consumers
Consumer.
to avoid what I'll call tariff shock. Then they can come up with what is called allowed tariff. Allowed tariff can be 18 naira instead of 100 naira. So it means there's
Subsidy.
a 20 naira subsidy. Okay?
No.
How it is funded?
92 naira subsidy.
No, I'm saying assuming cost of that is 100.
Okay.
And then what is now saying allowed tariff is 18 naira.
18 naira,
okay?
yes.
See, this 18 naira cannot be applied to everybody because we have different tariff classes.
Yes.
So what happens again? You say, let's do crop subsidy, cross subsidy.
Cross subsidy, yeah.
So what I'm saying, before now you have residential, commercial, industrial.
Industrial, yes.
Okay. So normally they will expect the industrial to pay more than residential customers. Okay.
Also.
So what normally happens is they will say, okay, instead of 18 naira, residential pay 16 naira,
Yes.
and maybe pay 16 naira, and then the industrial will now pay higher. But understand that the critical mass is in those residential areas.
Residential, yes.
The units.
In small
So
units.
when you want to subsidize 1 naira for those categories, you may have to do 5 naira in that other side to make up. Now, we are no longer in that era now. We are now in the era what we call service reflective tariff. We are saying what happened was that after consultation, customer says that, look, we are willing to pay for higher tariff,
Some.
but we want to see improvement in service. And based on that, the regulators felt, look, let's classify customers according to our availability. Band A, Band B, Band C.
Yeah.
So initially, before this recent one, what we just did was just to allow those Band A to pay more than Band B and just like
Yes.
until this latest one that came in April this year, where they now decided to junk Band A to 225. 25. At that point in time, the average tariff, the cost of tariff was 160. The cost of the promotion forward is 160. Now you are now asking these guys to pay 225. So you are asking them to subsidize, to take up the role of government.
Yes, they
And
subsidize,
now subsidize
for the households.
the other category. As we speak today, I look at one disco tariff. The cost of tariff was 200. Okay, the allowed tariff was 117. But you are still allowing people to be paying 60 naira, 65 naira. So what I said to the regulator, I was sitting with the vice chair recently. I told the vice chair, go and increase Band A to, Band B to Band E. Increase them by 10 or 20 naira. If you do that, you might be able to pull down Band B by even 3 times. If you bring Band A down to maybe something like 180, 170, 170, people will not be complaining. Right now, let me tell you the truth. A lot of companies are folding up because they can no longer act. They can't.
Wow, you are the major guy. Transmission.
When you watch what is happening now, you see that everybody is being conscious and optimistic to maximize the revenue. Because the distributors now, discos, are avoiding taking load from the.
They don't take load because we have the generation.
No, because one, after serving Band A, that is service driven, because of the effect of the revenue they are doing is higher, they will not want to take more energy and give to Band B. Because Band B is paying lower.
There is no incentive.
The more he takes, the more loss he incurs.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah.
As a result of that, he dropped Band B, he dropped Band C. He's only interested in feeding Band A where he makes his money.
So it's not taking load.
So this brings me to what
exploited. They are going to be more intelligent and going to devise alternative energy.
now this brings me to what I was.
So how do you control? How do you check distributors?
How do you now do on them? What they do, this service driven is being done by feeder. If you have a feeder feeding a particular
Feeder pillar.
they know number of hours those areas are being fed. Because of the number of hours they are fed, they classify them as Band A.
Yes.
So even if you're a poor man,
To fall within that area.
within that place.
Yes, that's the way. Yes.
So the repercussion of some of these ones now, those that are paying higher have developed another matrix to avoid such bills. They have gone to solar. So in the daytime, they now switch their system off to solar. While at night, they now go to. Then you discover because the private people that are paying this money want to maximize how much they pay.
Yeah.
So it becomes an issue with the regulator, which is NAC. Issues like this that you don't just jump out and begin to implement a policy that you don't have
It's a very, very,
You know,
Let me just add my voice.
yeah.
You see, the problem that they have over the years, and it's widespread, that in this country, you don't give the consumer the opportunity to choose what he
choose.
wants. Somebody sits down somewhere, makes a policy to everybody. You don't have a choice. How do you know who wants band A? How do you know who wants band B? You don't come
That's
to an
it.
estate, excuse me, you don't
That's
come to
it.
an estate and say,
That's the major
because there
one.
are-
Yes.
There are high-rising buildings here, you have band A. There is somebody there who does not need your electricity every time. He doesn't have the capacity to buy. So why are you giving me band A because I live in Surulere or I live in...
It's not even that, because that thing
So
passes
give
through
us
your
the
side.
opportunity to choose what you want. I can look at myself and excuse me, I can decide today. I have a inverter and I have a solar. When I need the electricity, it's in the night. I want to power my refrigerator. In the morning, I don't need it. So I'm good with band B and band C. Let me choose
Let me
what
choose.
I want. Let the man who has a factory say, I need band A. Because I'll run my own factory. But here, okay, now, you see, that's the problem. That's the problem that we are not getting it right. The fact that you live in a particular area, you are classified as band A. And it doesn't work for me.
It's terrible. It's
hello, sir.
terrible.
You know what that brings us to?
Yes.
I'm not
We have not been able to define what is subsidy in this country. What I call subsidy is inefficiency in the value chain, which is what he has just described.
Yes.
Why do you charge me on availability instead of consumption? If you like, give your light 24 hours. I should pay for what I consume.
Yes.
Not on when you. That's what it is. So, no, hold on. The same thing in oil and gas. You produce crude. You cannot refine it here. You pay shipment costs and transfer employment to where that refinery is, because you've just shipped employment there. You pay transport costs, insurance. Then you also pay shipment costs and bring it back, and bring along with it inflation, because you now introduce the foreign exchange component into that transaction, which shouldn't have been there from point one. So that is the cost now you are trying to recover. If you now want to sell it to people at the price it should have been, you now call it subsidy. So why don't you just remove that shipment to foreign land refinery and refine locally first? If you do that, you remove those other extra costs that should not have been in that process. And then you'll be able to sell competitively. But we keep speaking grammar and not dealing with the issue. Why is it that an oil-producing country cannot run effective, a functional refinery? Now, let me tell you why I'm so pained. I was involved in this modular refinery. I got license. So we got to a point that the police just stifled us. I know how much we sank in.
Huh.
My site is still there in a place called Iwokwe, Nugun Water Site.
Huh.
Antonio Oil Refinery. Go and check. It got to a point they said, okay, DPRs at that time asked us to go and pay 50,000 renewal fee. I said, if I have $50,000, I'll put it in my cost of business. I won't give you. If you cannot encourage me, just renew the paper, because the ETA, we had it for so many times. You know, all this. That's why none of the people that were given license, as at the time we got Obasanjo, no, the refineries are working. After we had IPO, we sunk in money, we owed people. Come on. You can work. Now your Port Harcourt refinery that was opened by fanfare on Monday has closed.
It has closed now.
Just leave it.
Okay, let's share his. Okay, okay, you will talk. You will talk. Are you sure it's a shadow accountant?
Yeah, hello. I just want to make some observations with respect to this. A very pertinent question is, how did we get to this level in terms of the oil sector? The truth is this: during one of the regimes, 90 billion naira exchanged hands, and the 4 oil refineries stopped working. I repeat, during one of the regimes, specifically Obasanjo regime, 90 billion naira exchanged hands somewhere, I did not know the details. That was when the 4 oil refineries stopped working. The government made Dangote about 183 richest person in the world. When he jammed one girl, it reduced to 185 sometime in the past. We are aware. So now that the 4 oil refineries are not working, we want to increase. We have already increased, not we, but the government has already increased the wealth of Dangote. Dangote is now finding it difficult to get supply from our crude, natural crude oil that we are selling. So it is the government that is the ultimate spoiler of the Nigerian economy. They don't listen to the economists, neither do they listen to the accountants. They follow politics, and politics means the madness of the many for the benefit of the few. So that's the cause of the problem. When the 4 oil refineries starts working, then all this will take care of itself. Let me just stop there.
The Port Harcourt, the man said the Port Harcourt has stopped working.
Can I make
has
one
stopped working
contribution?
today. He said it. He said
Speaker.
it's not working yesterday.
Speaker,
Okay.
can I make my own contribution?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start from what Odo said. When the 4 refineries start working, they can never work.
They can never. Yes.
Did you listen to Obasanjo very well concerning the refineries? He
They
said
are moribund.
at some point, somebody advised him to sell all of them. Somebody advised him that refinery business is a very tough business. Even Dangote himself said it. That when he went to Saudi Arabia, they told him, why are you going to refinery business? But he said he's going to, because Dangote is a stubborn person. He wants to do something, he wants to continue to do it. Refinery as a business is a tough business. It's even tougher when the government gets involved in it. As far back, I have a friend, as far back when Babangida was around, they used to do this turnaround maintenance. At some point, fuel was imported during that Babangida time, but nobody would know. Are you getting me? Because the strain, the refinery started seeing some strain. As a business, Obasanjo said, somebody advised him, sell off all these things. He sat down with guys, and he agreed that he was going to sell them. Along the line, somebody said, no, why are you selling off our assets? But it was obvious, clear for him at that point that it was a bad business. So if somebody is still saying, revitalize the refinery, it's just not possible.
It's fraud.
It's not easy to do because number one, some of those refineries I'm talking about, most of those things are obsolete.
Yeah.
There are obsolete machines and equipment that are there. If you want to revitalize it, you're going to spend much more. So why would you want to get involved in it?
They use it to siphon money. That's just it.
Yes.
If you advise that they sell the refineries that we have, my question is, yes, why is it working in other countries? There are other oil-producing countries that have refineries. They've been working
They've changed the
better.
technology.
You understand? So why are we not doing that? In our own case, the antidote is sell. Now, selling means depending on, from what Bassey said, depending on importation. With the dollar value, dollar factor, exchange rate, and all of that. It is, for me, I think we don't have the political will for somebody who is crazy to begin to send people to jail. We want somebody, maybe not a full Rawlings, we want something, a mini Rawlings here, to start from the first day they started that rubbish and that fraud, and say like 50 people are going to jail because of what they did in 1996. Yeah. By the time they push them to jail, and they say, Oga, come and run it, it will work. He's going to import the right equipment and repair this refinery, and even tell us, look, from what I've seen, this thing is obsolete. Let us get new ones. But the people who have stolen, who have messed us up, are walking the streets. That the politicians, they are our leaders. Somebody said something about the cost of bringing goods from the north to the west. It's 800 and something thousand. I had an issue that some boys were on the road collecting money for every truck. And they called some army people to come and drive me away. And they said, it is honorable somebody somewhere that put us here. We give in returns on our roads. So a certain politician goes to his own local government and meets some miscreants, and they stay there. Once they see any truck carrying foodstuff from the north, they stop and they collect money and give in returns. He's a politician. So how do you now remove those boys? So it is a totally stupid value chain. It's all over the place. There's nothing that, you see, by the time you sit down with some of these politicians, you see that is,
Yes.
they're empty.
Yes, exactly.
They don't have anything upstairs. They just sit there and they make money.
Okay.
So
Thank you
it's
very
a
much, sir.
terrible situation.
The argument will continue. Let's finish our review.
No, but please, there's
Because
one
we have
area
already
that
the opportunity.
we seem to be neglecting in this discussion. Sometimes it looks to me that there's a foreign and imperialistic, yes, influence on this happening, what's happening in Nigeria.
Keeping us down.
Because, for example, I know a very seasoned president who should be able to look at the consequence of his policies on the populace. But then, it looks to me there's a foreign influence, like IMF or so, that comes to say, this is the way the world is going. I think you guys are enjoying too much in this country. Let us introduce this or that. I don't know. It's my own local thinking. It's my own local thinking. Because all these things, they look absurd. They don't look, it doesn't look like somebody, because small me, if you ask me to administer this country today, I think I do better than some people. Thank you.
From where they stopped. This is better.
Okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Okay. Let us continue. We are still reviewing the. Thank you for your contributions. It's only in a venue like this we can raise all these issues. It's not every time you have people who are at the same level with you to relate with at this level. And we thank God for having this kind of gathering. Look at the real GDP growth at the world level is trending down. So, like we observe, we are just having the real GDP growth at the world level is showing some indications that since 2020, even this started in 2022, trending, showing the world growth is showing signs of recovering and coming. Yes, because of so it's reflecting some of this issue around, especially in risk. We had COVID before. We have not recovered from COVID. Ukraine war started, and everybody is suffering from this. And that's why the world has not fully equally recovered from the effect of COVID. After COVID, we had Russia, Ukraine, and also we have been affected too. But equally, you will see that in Nigeria, from 2003, 2004, there is no, from 2023 to this dump. Say that